Hey YouTube, AZ Bill here once again. I've had some requests about doing, more videos. Well, to tell you truthfully, I only had one request to do more videos. But anyway, last video I did have, and you can hear in the background, I'm out in the garage. I did say something about putting a dual burner together, and that's what I've been working on. It took me quite a long time to get an idea of what I wanted to do and how I wanted it to look, and this is probably the most ambitious project I've done as far as the mechanics. So I'm about 90 to 95% done. I think all the physical part of it here is pretty much done. I'm just working on the burners now to see what kind of burner configuration, and I've just run two very minor tests here just recently. And let me take this one burner apart here off the supply line and take a look at this one here. This one here is it's a bottom of a water bottle, and just with a bunch of discs in here. Actually, I got one sitting in the other one, so it actually would be three in here at one time. Now this is the other one. I'm sorry. This is the one I burned yesterday. This is one single disc in the bottom, and with a ring around the outside, which is 3/4 inches high. This is 3/4 by about 3 inches, and this one ran kind of interesting. And what I'm going to probably do is do a video on each one of these different burner configurations that I have here. Again, this is just one single disc in the bottom. It's not a donut; it's just a disc of the carbon felt, and then with a ring of around the outside. It stands up about 3/4 of an inch. And then the other one, now let's just put this down here. The other one is just, again, I've got one of the discs in there, is just a disc layered on top of each other, and I had 3 layers in here. So, and again, this one burned totally different than this other one did, and a little bit surprising, not that they burn differently, but how much that one is, it was really weird. I mean, when I show it to you, when I do a video on it, I'm going to show it to you. But anyway, this is what the burner looks like, the new one. Now it's about 16¼ inches from end to end here, 4.5 inches wide, and stands about 2.5 inches tall. The center distance between burners is exactly 12 inches. And I put it together so really it can be taken apart. There's wing nuts on the outside. There's wing nuts on everything here except for the cross members, in the burner bottoms here. And you can see on the bottom here, I think, if you look on the bottom, this is what it looks like on the bottom. This is for the pot stand portions of it, and the cross members here that hold the burner itself. And so this is quite an interesting one to put together. I did have to say my wife did help me on a couple of the items here because her eyes are much better than I am, and I'll explain that here coming up. But what I'm probably going to do is do a series of videos on this. Like I said, let's take a look at it. This is a pot. I did just one burn test on it, and this is how nice the pot sits on there. And these are just normal pots out. And these are ones that I have sitting out in the garage I was going to give away, but you can see how nicely the pot sits on there on both of these burners, so it's quite wide enough to do that. And let's see, I actually have, I'm going to go around the back here and get something. So I don't know if you can hear me back here, but I'm going to get one of my other pots that are normally used for camping and stuff like that. This is the grease pot from Walmart. And you can see that fits on there real nicely too, no problem whatsoever. Let's scoot this over a little bit so it's more framed in here so you can see it. But that fits on there real nicely also. And all the pots that I have fit on this just great. So what I'll probably do is do a series of videos on exactly how the burners work, and ultimately, I guess, if you don't want to see me here boiling water in about 4 or 5 minutes or 10 minutes or however long it's going to take, you can look and see there's a couple of people out there that do nothing but boil tests in the garage, and which mean practically nothing. But ultimately what I'm looking this to do is, I could use this for camping, car camping if I wanted to. I could do that. But one of the big reasons why I was looking for a survival type stove, is somebody could actually use alcohol burners in a survival mode, like Hurricane Sandy, or anything where you had the problem with cooking your food or getting heat up water or soup or whatever, making spaghetti, those kind of things. I'm probably going to end up cooking something. Try to cook maybe scrambled eggs and sausage on this eventually as a demonstration, but that's going to be down the road a little way. Anyway, I'm going to do a series of videos on this. I'm not going to show you a bunch of stuff I put together on the CAD or anything else like that. I did do most of this on the CAD beforehand. That's probably what took me so long to get these videos, get another video out. So anyway, what I am working on also here, as you recall on some of the other videos I did, I'm still working on the wine bottles, making them into glasses, and this is one that I made for my daughter here just recently. I'm going to give it to her. Hopefully this shows up fairly decently, but that's like some grapes on the outside, and then on the one side, and then on the other side are the initials of her and her fiance. And I made a series. This is the cobalt blue, and she requested to have whole different. She has 6 glasses, and they're all a little bit different as far as the colors and like that. But I'm also doing beer bottles. This is a Bud Light Platinum, and I cut these down and also finished the tops and everything else. And these will actually hold about 10 ounces, so they may be just good for maybe juice or something like that. I don't know what everybody. They're kind of unique to have. Going to take the back label off eventually, and so all it'll be is the the label on the front. And let's see, what else are we working on? Also, I kind of got into, and you can probably see a lot of videos on this. You can look it up. I got into the paracording, and I've just started. I really haven't done much with it. I made up this fixture. This morning I even looked at the Lion's Den 72. He's got a really nice video on his, if you want to take a look at his. He did a really great job on his, but I got this idea from one of the premier Paracord, I guess, demonstrators that you can find on there, and his name is Mr. Coop 1967. It's MRCOOP 1967, and he goes a step-by-step on how to put one of these together. I did mine just a little bit. This is all from scrap wood I had laying around. I didn't have to go out and buy any. I just had it laying out, and one day I just said, I got a bunch of stuff out there. I'll just put it together. I did have to buy the buckles and the cable clamps, and I think I had a washer that I had to buy. I had almost everything else that, as far as wood was, I had everything else. What I did a little bit differently, as you can see on the outside, on the CAD, I actually made the scales and attached them, glued them onto the side runners here. And also I made this top plate on the movable portion of it, the block that moves. I made that a little bit wider so when I line it up on either side I can tell exactly that I'm on the mark and it's square and everything to the top plate. And the one other thing that I guess creates a lot of problems for most people is when you loosen this up and you want to move it back and forth, and this one moves pretty freely. When you move it back and forth and then you want to lock it back down again, a lot of times it would move, and that's because on the back here you had a washer and you have of course the head to the hex nut on the 1/4-inch hex nut. So what I did actually is I epoxied the head of the bolt to the washer, and on the opposite side of the washer, which faces the wood, I put a disc of 80 grit sandpaper. So once you lock this down, it's not going to move at all. It really snugs up quite nicely. So that's a little bit different from what I think he does on his. He tells people to take the washer that he has and bend it over so it grips into the wood, and I didn't want to do that. I thought maybe this would be a better idea, and it has worked out much better. And then on the end of here, I have my pins for lanyards, and those just fit into the holes here, and then they would fit into the holes on the top here. This one here, my washer, I got a little bit too close, so it was probably one of my mistakes. So I actually had to take and put a groove into the washer to allow that to, but that's fine. I mean, it's no big deal. That's probably the only big mistake I made when I made this. Now this is all glued together, There's no screws or anything else other than into the cable clamps here for the buckles, and that's about it. So again, I've just started this. I'm still kind of researching to see. Mr. Coop has some really great demonstrations if you want to see those, and you can look around. There's the Paracord. There's tying it all together is another one that has some really good videos. He does not use buckles. He just makes them with a ring and a loop type system on his bracelets and stuff like that. But take a look and you'll see Mr. Coop has one of the better ones, I think, especially if you're going to use a jig. Also, again, like I said, the Lion's Den 72 has a good video on his jig, and he also has done some bracelet videos too. So take a look at his. Again, I'm going to do these videos on here. I'm going to start with just doing the individual burners to see how they work. I'm still kind of I'm going to look at a way in which to dampen down the burners with some type of system where I can put something over the top here and just get a simmer type mode. I'm going to work on that yet too. And I have one other idea that I'm going to do, and that's for baking. This is square tubing, 3/4 square tubing. Nothing says that you have to have a round tube to make a little burner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a square tubing. I'm going to have a cross member that goes across here, and the square tubing is going to go down a little bit deeper in here. And I think I'm going to make a little fixture for baking because you don't need as much heat as these put out. These put out a heck of a lot of heat. So these burners do put out a lot of heat. So anyway, I'm going to make something like that up. So that'll be a future video also, just to go along with this new, burner system here that I've got. So anyway, that's where I'm at now. This is my update on what I've been doing and what I intend to do in the future. I think that's about it. The only other thing I'm going to say is that I've come across, my wife has just recently retired, but she had a co-worker whose husband, and she just started working there, and this co-worker has a husband who has macular degeneration. And I've never told anybody on this on any of my videos, but I do too. I have macular degeneration. In fact, I'm actually legally blind. I've been legally blind for almost 11 years now. And what I want to do is maybe do a video and show the people who have maybe something like that disability don't have to be, stuck, not being able to do anything, that there are a lot of ways that you can compensate and overcome that disability. So I'm probably going to do a video, and hopefully, it'll get around a little bit. And some people who have this condition, macular degeneration, I'll explain exactly how terrible a situation it starts out to be for most people who, have this condition, and the depression you go through, and how you have to try to overcome it. And I think I'm going to do. I wasn't going to tell anybody this. I didn't think it was important in the aspect of the way I wanted my videos to go. But I think after talking to this person's, I haven't met him yet. There may be a time when I'll get together with him and maybe we can compare notes and see if maybe I can't get him out of a depression, that maybe he can find that there's a lot of things he still can do. It's difficult. Yeah, it's difficult, but you learn how to compensate for it. So anyway, I'll probably do just a verbal video on that eventually coming down the road a little bit. I'm still trying to figure out how to put something like that together. But anyway, I really appreciate everybody holding off. It's been a while for me to make this and everything else. Like I said, I did have my wife help me with some of the layouts and everything else on my drill press, so I got to give her kudos on that. And so anyway, if you have any comments or questions, I'd be glad to answer them. And again, thanks for subscribing, and we'll see you a little bit later. Bye-bye.